There are 7 natural chest infection treatments that you can use as home remedies. The big problem with chest infections is that the great majority of people get an antibiotic. What they don't know is most chest infections, especially bronchitis and even certain types of pneumonia, are coming from a viral infection. In fact, 90 to 95% of chest infections are viral infections, not bacterial infections. Yet, over 70% of the time, people with bronchitis are given antibiotics. And when you treat an infection with the wrong thing, you can make it worse, especially antibiotics. Why? Because 80% of your immune system is your own microbiome. You're killing off this microbiome part of your immune system with antibiotics, weakening your immune system. You create more inflammation. You can potentially increase resistant bacteria and more pathogens because of the antibiotics. You really want to make sure you're treating the correct problem with the correct solution. And the problem with viral infections, there are not a lot of drugs for viruses. So normally we let our body heal on its own, but there are certain natural things that can shorten the duration of the infection and the intensity of the infection as well. And before we begin to list, I just want to say that when someone is raised in a super clean, sterile environment, they're going to be more susceptible to getting lung infections as they get older. So it's really important for kids to develop a really strong immune system from the very start. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that as soon as their child gets a fever or they get sick, they're instantly trying to suppress that fever or suppress that infection with something. Because when you're born with your mother's immune system. That's called the innate immune system. But there's another immune system that is developed over time with exposure to viruses and bacteria and other pathogens. And that is called the acquired immune system. In order to develop that, you need to get sick and go through the sickness to have it get strong. For a child to be sick often is not a bad thing, especially in the beginning. Let's start with number 1, NAC, N-acetylcysteine. This compound is a precursor for something called glutathione, which is a very powerful detoxifier. NAC has the potential to decrease the frequency of infections in the lungs, as well as the duration of time you get this infection, especially for chronic bronchitis and something called COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The way I would take NAC is through a nebulizer. That's something that turns a liquid into a vapor and you can breathe it in. They're not that expensive. So you take 3.5 ounces of water, you warm it up a little bit, and you dissolve like 1/8 of a teaspoon of NAC powder into this solution until it's completely dissolved. Put it into the nebulizer, and then you can breathe it for 5 minutes a couple times a day. I mean, you can also take NAC orally in a tablet form as well, but the nebulizer tends to work a little bit faster. I have a free download that I want to give to you. This free download is my daily routine in a checklist. This is a routine that I use every day to feel like I'm 18 years old, even though I'm 60 years old, and I want to give it to you for free. And so there's a little link down below. Click it and definitely download that. Number 2, black seed oil. This is an ancient remedy that's been used by the Egyptians and the Chinese. Black seed oil is one of those remedies for virtually almost everything because it has amazing properties. It can decrease the growth of not just viruses and bacteria, but also funguses and mold, and allow you to breathe better, especially if you have asthma or some respiratory infection. Take this orally, and I would recommend just taking whatever's on the back of the label as far as the recommended amount. Number 3 is called andrographis. Another name for this is king of the bitters because it's extremely bitter. Andrographis is shown to significantly decrease the duration, the frequency, and the intensity of lung infections, as well as in coughing and sore throats. And in one study, the effectiveness was comparable to an over-the-counter medication for coughing and lung congestion. Number 4, South African geranium. There are quite a few studies to show that this can decrease the duration and severity of lung infections. And when we talk about lung infections, I'm talking about something like acute bronchitis, both in adults and children. It's also very effective for viruses. This is why I'm bringing it up, because most lung infections, 90 to 95%, are viral related. Number 5 is inhaled magnesium. For this one, I would recommend just getting some Epsom salts. It comes in a powder, and you can put 1/4 of a teaspoon dissolved in about 3.5 ounces of water put it in a nebulizer and you breathe this in. Magnesium is really good to relax the bronchial tubes and help break up the mucus and help you breathe better. You can do this a few times a day, thereby decreasing your coughing and wheezing. Number 6, licorice root. This is another ancient Egyptian and Chinese remedy. Great for sore throats, great for anything viral related. If you have an infection in your lung, or you have coughing, or if you have an asthma attack, licorice root would be awesome. And you can just take this orally in a supplement. And now we get to what I think is the best remedy, number 7, vitamin D3. And of course, we're not talking about small amounts. I'm talking about larger amounts. I would recommend taking 50,000 IU every single day until that infection is gone. Because what we want to do is we want to raise your vitamin D level up to the point where you create a therapeutic effect. Small amounts won't do anything for this. We need high amounts. Every single immune cell in your body requires vitamin D. It has receptors for vitamin D. The lungs are loaded with receptors for vitamin D. Vitamin D gives one of the most potent anti-inflammatory effects of all the natural remedies. If we're trying to get rid of inflammation in your lungs, vitamin D would be at the top of the list. Vitamin D also is very unique in that it's an immune modulator. It's something that regulates your immune system. So many conditions out there are a problem with either too many or too few immune cells. On top of that, most people are very deficient in vitamin D3, making them very susceptible to respiratory infections. Vitamin D also triggers a certain part of the immune system, the killer T cells that help directly attack viruses. One thing you need to know when you're taking vitamin D3 at 50,000 IU, I would also make sure it has the K2 in it, as well as the magnesium, because vitamin D will not work without magnesium. Now, because we talked about natural remedies, I have some of my favorite natural remedies in a video that I highly recommend you watch right now, and I'm going to put it up right here. Check it out.